What's going on, everybody? It's me, E-Man, and today we're going to review Marshall. Alright, let's do a quick intro. A young Thurgood Marshall is faced with one of his most defining court cases as he seeks to protect the civil rights of his client. Okay, enough of that, let's get on to the good.
The good.
Now, of course, it's no secret that Chadwick Boseman is one of the most talented actors in Hollywood to date. Despite not really looking like the actual Thurgood Marshall, his acting makes you forget all about that. Throughout the film, Boseman brings out this bravado and this charisma that makes it kind of hard not to be drawn to his character. In certain scenes, you'll see Boseman put his full acting range on display, but I'd probably have to say that his best highlights come with his wisecracking comments. It almost felt as though the only thing missing in his character was simply breaking through the fourth wall and winking at the audience. Now, co-starring alongside Boseman was Josh Gad, and he put on a very good performance as well. I would have to say that Gad's character probably had the most development and growth throughout the film. Whenever you saw them on the screen, both Boseman and Gad had really good on-screen chemistry. They both have a certain scene in the movie that I'll just say in my theater had the audience screaming with laughter. I'd be completely remiss if I didn't give some props to Sterling K. Brown. Even though he was in a supporting role, he still manages to knock it out the park and carry his scenes rather effectively. I really appreciated the director, Reginald Hunlin, for capturing the emotional moments that really turn a corner for Sterling K's character. A surprising element in this film was just how humorous it was. And I say humorous because it wasn't like a comedy, but it definitely had some moments in the film that'll actually get you to chuckle or just bust out laughing. As for the story, this court case is full of twists and turns and drama. It almost felt like an episode straight out of Law and Order. More than likely, you're gonna stay engaged to the court case all the way to the very end. Okay, enough of that, let's get on to the bad.
The bad.
Okay, now this is not gonna be a popular opinion, don't really care, but this movie didn't feel like a biopic for Thurgood Marshall. I mean, Thurgood Marshall barely feels like the main character in his own film. Instead, he's reduced to being a co-star to Josh Gad's character. I mean, as the movie progressed, I just kept asking myself, wait a minute, whose movie is this supposed to be about again? As I mentioned earlier, Gad's character gets to grow and develop over time, but Marshall, on the other hand, doesn't really get the same treatment. The only historical facts we really get about Marshall are just some quick blurbs here or there in random dialogue. Now, the film chooses to pick one of the more obscure and smaller cases of Thurgood Marshall, probably one that most people just don't know about. Now, while this is a very different approach, it is fresh, it is original, and it is actually indeed compelling, in my opinion, it's not one of the cases that actually speaks to the greatness of the man that eventually goes off to change US history. Now, let me say this, I don't think that we needed a predictable and very well-known story of Thurgood Marshall like Brown versus the Board of Education in order to make a movie about him. There are plenty of different facts about Thurgood Marshall's life that could have been highlighted in this film. So the question becomes, was this story the best one to reflect the legacy of Thurgood Marshall? To me, this movie and even this particular court case didn't really need Thurgood Marshall in it. You could have replaced Chadwick Boseman, and everyone else for that matter, and just had a black lawyer trying a court case in a racist time in history. Hey, if I'm gonna be blunt, this movie felt like it hijacked Thurgood Marshall's name just to make a movie. To make matters worse, this movie pushes Josh Gad's character to the forefront at the expense of Thurgood Marshall. I mean, it literally puts Marshall in a place where he needs Josh Gad's character. Again, this was supposed to be, thanks to the marketing, a movie all about Thurgood Marshall. There were also moments in the film that try to equivocate the discrimination between Jewish people and African American people. Now, don't get me wrong, it does help make sense within the story to have Gad's character and Boseman's character connect, but to me, I think it just kind of reinforces another negative stigma in society, but you know what? That's another time, another conversation, another video. So let's get on to the reason.
The reason.
So if you couldn't tell by now, I was a little disappointed in the fact that they made this film kind of like a odd couple, buddy lawyer type of movie. But please don't confuse my disappointment with the actual quality of the film. The movie itself, I really enjoyed it. I'd probably even watch it again. My disappointment is manifested in the expectations that was created by the marketing. So if you think you're gonna go in and see a movie about the life and times of Thurgood Marshall, then you're sadly mistaken. Now, if you don't mind watching an entertaining court drama, then by all means, go get your popcorn ready. But you know what, after thinking about it, it does kind of make sense to push Josh Gad's character. It makes the movie appear to be a little bit more open to the general public. In other words, it's not going to be pigeonholed into being just another black movie. Marshall suffers from what I'd like to call the Hollywood coffee and cream effect. I mean, it's kind of like how it sounds. When you have a story about a black figure or black experience depicted in a film, you have to introduce a white character to help sweeten the film for everybody. Coincidentally, this is exactly what happened with Boseman's other biopic, 42. The film was promoted to be about Jackie Robinson, but instead Harrison Ford's character gets poured into the film to make an artsy looking cappuccino. So when it comes to the rating for Marshall, I've got to give it an 8 out of 10. Marshall is absolutely worth the watch in theaters. I do think that where you see this movie does kind of matter. Let's just say that the demographic of my viewing of the film wasn't opposed to laughing and engaging verbally with the movie. That certainly helped me enjoy the movie a little bit more and appreciate some of the more funny moments in it. Had I seen this movie by myself or maybe in a quieter theater, I just think that the tone of the film might have shifted a little bit. So that audience participation does kind of help. So I'd recommend to go see Marshall with some friends or maybe on some group dates or something. I suppose my only fear with this movie is that it's going to be enjoyed but then soon forgotten. I'm not sure that it's really going to inspire people to go out and learn more about Thurgood Marshall and his life and contributions to American history. Thankfully, I did create a video that should show you just how cool Thurgood Marshall really was, and you can check that out in the link description. Well, that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you very much for joining me. Now, have you seen Marshall already? What did you think about it? Am I wrong? Do you like the idea that they have the smaller, more obscure case? Are you inspired to go learn more about Thurgood Marshall after seeing the movie? Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you're interested, I got a chance to be on the red carpet and interview Chadwick Boseman and the cast of Marshall. Yes, I got a chance to interview Mr. Biopic, the Black Panther himself. You can check the link in the description for more. It's good stuff. Don't forget, you can always stay connected with me by joining the 33,000 fans on my Facebook fan page. But look, I got more videos and more reviews coming up for you guys real soon. Until then, I'll see you later.